a lot of people play the sport or even watch it and really appreciate the traditions behind it. But do you really know the history behind basketball? Today I'm going to tell you about who created basketball, the early logistics of basketball, and how it evolved into the NBA as we know it today. Basketball is a fun sport to play and watch, and it comes from very deep roots. The sport of basketball was created by Dr. James Naismith in December 1891 in Springfield, Massachusetts. He was a PE teacher at YMCA International Training School, but it's also known as Springfield College now. And he was tasked to create, or told by his boss to create a indoor sport game to keep athletes conditioned in the winter months. Because during that time, there was no winter sports or anything like that, and the most important sports were in the summer, so you wanted to stay in shape and everything like that. Now, for the first or early logistics created by Dr. James Naismith. At first, he nailed peach baskets to the bottom of the balcony, and they used a soccer ball instead of instead of an actual basketball because there was no need to dribble back then. They didn't have those type of rules, and he didn't even cut out the bottom of the peach basket. And they had the janitor stick a broom up in there to get the ball out instead of just cutting the bottom out of the peach basket. And the goal was 15-minute halves with 5-minute rest in between each half. And the team whoever scored the most points at the end of the game won the game. And if there was a tie or a draw, then you would keep playing until the next basket or the next team scored. He created 13 rules, which will now be up on the screen. And he split the class into 2 even teams of 9 players each. He even came up with the name basketball. Someone wanted to call it Naismith's game, but he said, no, we have a basket and a ball. Let's call it basketball, which is pretty ironic. And it's a lot different than today's basketball, considering that today's basketball has metal hoops and nets and backboards and be able to dribble a dunk, which was not even, no one even thought, even come close to thinking that back then. And we actually came up with the first basketball, the actual basketball to dribble, was in 1906. That is the first Spalding ball, and that's what they use in the NBA every game. And we all know the NBA, but how did it get to be the actual NBA? Well, the first professional basketball league was founded in 1898, 7 years after basketball was invented. So not that many people actually knew about basketball and things about knew the teams or anything like that. So it was known as the NBL, the National Basketball League, and only had 6 teams because it wasn't very popular then. And since it was very popular, it was abandoned in 1904. And then multiple leagues were set up following the NBL. So the NBL was like the starting point. The 3 most important leagues for the next 10 to 20 years until around the 1930s were the Eastern Basketball League, founded in 1909, the Metropolitan Basketball League, founded in 1921, and the American Basketball League, founded in 1925. They were the leagues. That's what they were. Those 3 leagues were competing for ticket sales and everything until the 2 main leagues showed up. And the 2 main leagues were the National Basketball League, the NBL, came back again in 1938. And then the Basketball Association of America was formed, the BAA. And it was formed in 1946. And then those 2 leagues wiped out every other league. And they were the top 2 leagues. They competed for ticket sales, fans, until finally they just realized, why not join together? And so in 1949, they joined together and finally formed the NBA as we know it today. And the NBA, the early NBA, they didn't know much, so they slowly started adding teams and had financial struggles until finally more and more teams showed up, and then people started to love the game. New rules were formed and new traditions, which define really any sport. Is traditions what makes the sport, and they all kept going to form what we know as the NBA today, and the history behind the NBA, and all like Michael Jordan, and everybody knows him, and LeBron James, everybody knows him, and it it brings America closer and like the world closer because it's just spreading all over the world, and anybody can play the game. And so today I told you about who created basketball, the first logistics created by Dr. James Naismith, and how the NBA was formed between the NBL, the National Basketball League, and the BAA, the Basketball Association of America. Basketball is a fun sport to watch, and it is good to appreciate the history behind it.